Okay, so this is part two of living with a narcissistic mother. You need to watch the first video to understand this one. So, yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything else about
Well,
that.
what really got me is when we left from there, she had a brother on the phone being a victim, but she was kicking us out. And she had the nerve to ask me if I did anything to the house that later on would
She
mess
was
up.
like her tone because she was holding the phone to her ear at the time with her brother, and her tone was so victimized. It was Joey, you guys aren't gonna do anything to my house, are you, before you leave? You're not gonna destroy anything, are you? And he's always been such a mostly a pacifist. I mean, if he needed to fight for something, he would, but he's mostly a pacifist type person. And this was like the first time I'd really seen him angry, really angry. And I mean, because what she was doing was so obvious, trying to make herself this victim. And this is what I had talked to him about before, and he was witnessing it for himself. And just holding that phone and sounding so sad and so scared, and he got angry, which I'm sure just only helped her out because when you got angry, you were yelling like, why would I do anything to your house? Like, I haven't done anything to your house. I haven't done anything to you. But he was yelling and being accused of something like that, and seeing what she was doing. She was not hiding that she was trying to be a victim like that. And so he got angry about it and got up and was pacing around. I mean, he was mad. But no, we didn't do anything. Actually, I did do one thing. I erased all her stuff off of her, what is it, like TiVo or
TV.
yeah, where you can put your favorite shows. And yeah, that was really like childish and immature. But, it was the dead of winter. I was still really sick. I had been going to a neurologist twice a week to get shots, to get two different shots for inflammation. And then one was a shot for pain, but it was, 'cause ever since the whole thing with the benzos, I've been scared of anything that's addictive. So it was just like a mild pain relief shot that actually didn't do anything. The inflammatory shot, the anti-inflammation shot, that actually did a lot more help than anything. But even that wasn't doing a whole lot of good. I just really wanted to believe that it was. But I was going through that, and I mean, it was so bad. There was like times sitting in the living room where I was having like a major hot flash, like the pain in my chest and my back, and it would my whole body felt like it was on fire. My husband had a fan down by my feet, and he would turn the fan on, and then like he would turn on full blast because I would feel like I was on fire, and he'd turn it on, and then less than 5 minutes later, I'm like, turn it back off. I'm freezing. He'd turn it off, and then the heat wave would come back, turn it back on, and he was, like really poor guy, just like sitting by the fan, just waiting and doing his best. But yeah, I was going to this neurologist twice a week, and times where like she would walk in the room and I would just grab her shoulders and I would be just tears pouring down my face. Like, I can't take this pain. I just can't. I can't go on. I can't. You have to do something. And the next step that she was talking about doing was actually giving me a shot in my back, my upper back, that would actually numb things up for me. And that was because that was the only thing. And they had run all kinds of tests, and this was a nerve issue. This wasn't muscular; it was a nerve issue. And um, gabapentin was talked about, but I was just so scared of taking anything. I was going through so much hell just because of something that I took, that I was told to take that would help me. And I didn't want to chance it with anything else, but I was desperate, and the idea of, just a shot that would just numb everything. in there seemed like, okay, do it, but that was the last resort, and she was trying to come up with other things. But anyway, so yeah, we ended up getting kicked out. We were sitting in there. We were waiting for his grandfather and mother to pick us up, and while waiting, we she came in and did that, and he got angry, and he did start yelling about it. You're like, why would I do that? I never done anything to you. Never done anything to your house. But because he was yelling, I'm sure that's what she was looking for,
Yeah.
to push your buttons while he was on the phone, so that it would kind of nail in that she was a victim. And I'm telling you, she was good. She's good. She's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, really good at doing this stuff. Um, and let's see, just there's a lot of things about it. So many things that I've wanted to talk about for so long, to be able to tell my side of things. Like, for an example, my other uncle, Ronnie, uh, um, he had always been sort of like the fun uncle when I was growing up. And he's a funny guy. Talking to him, he can have you just laughing so hard. And we had gotten in touch one time several years ago, and we started talking on the phone. We only talked 2 or 3 times, but we talked for a while, mostly me laughing about things that he had said. This is a completely separate time from when we were staying with her. This was when we were here. And me and my mother weren't talking at the time, but I was talking to him. He was just cracking me up a few times, just 2 or 3 times that we talked, but it was really good, and I was looking forward to it. I was so happy just to be talking to him and stuff like that. And then my mom came. My mom and I started talking on the phone, and I wanted to have my mother in my life, so it was like, okay, we talked on the phone. She came for a visit, and I think I was pregnant with my daughter at the time during this visit when this happened. But she ended up going in the back bedroom, my son's bedroom, and she was on the phone. Yeah, this was before the whole sociopath thing that she called my. That was the last time I saw her, was when she called my son a sociopath. Except for on video chat, I'd seen her since then, but in person. But this was before all that, and I had been talking pretty good to my uncle Ronnie, and just a few times. And she comes over. She comes for a visit, and knowing that I'm talking to my uncle Ronnie and things are going great, she decides she wants to try to talk to him too. So she does. But she goes in the back bedroom with the phone in my son's room. You can't hear anything that she's saying. And when she comes out, she just blatantly says that he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And I'm like, why? And she goes, Ronnie, he's a drama queen, and that's how he is. Nobody can explain him or why he's like that. I don't know. I don't know. And I was like, and I mean, knowing her, I knew what had happened. I didn't know exactly what was said, but I knew what had happened. And I was mad about it. And I don't remember what came of that time. But then there was another time that happened a couple years later where he and I started talking, and I think I was talking to her during this period. I think, and because she would do that whole, like not, like giving you the silent treatment, when like whenever she was mad. So I could never tell whether we were talking or not, but the second time me and him started talking, it was the same thing. We were laughing and talking. It was good. And when I started talking to her again, I remember talking with her like, okay, mom, like, let's just be happy. Let's all be happy. Let's not talk about each other. Let's not me and you talk about him. Let's not me and him talk about you. Let's not you and him talk about me. Let's just say good things and happy things about each other. I even sent him a message on Facebook about that, saying the same thing. And I figured that it was going to sound maybe some like kind of condescending or something, but I didn't know what else to do. I was trying to prevent what had happened before and what had happened with other people in my family from happening again. But little did I know at the time there was no stopping. There was no stopping it. She was 10, 20 steps ahead all the time. So the next thing I knew, my mom had went back home, and she let's see, one day I get this comment on something on my Facebook page, and it was really confusing to me. Everything had been going good talking to my uncle, and then this comment about, like, yes, everybody feels sorry for you. And I'm like, what? Like, what is that? So then I noticed that I'm blocked. He's got me blocked. And I was like, what in the world? And I had been helping my mom set up a Facebook page. She was not internet savvy or even computer savvy. So um, I was helping her to figure out how to set up a Facebook page. And I really wanted to know what exactly had happened. I'd never heard her. When she did these things, she was always doing it in private. When she was talking about me to other people in the family, she always did it in private. And so I never knew exactly the details as to how their view of me got so askewed. And so I went on her page. I knew her password, and I helped her set it up. So I did. I went on there just to go straight to those messages and read them. And, like, because I wanted to know where it came from. And it was really odd because when I was looking through there, I don't know if you can delete what you say I, to the other person, but it looked a whole lot like he was talking to himself. I still have the screenshots. I'll always keep these. I mean, it's like the only evidence I have. But um, where she's on there talking to him, and he's like, she's got you in her web, telling my mother that I had her in my web, and all these horrible things about me that none of them were true. This was actually the last time I had decided that this was going to be the last time I was going to give my mother a chance. And um, and so reading all of this, that was it for me. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Reading these lies, reading all of this, it just was too much. I mean, I had been working really hard talking to her on video chat. I could screen share. I knew how to do that. So she would want me to listen to country music she liked. She wanted me to watch X Factor, even though she knew I didn't like the show, American Idol. But, it didn't matter. She wanted to do that. So I did that a lot, a whole lot. He would be at home a lot of the time and see me doing it. And I was trying everything I could because I wanted my mother in my life. I mean, at this point, I had nobody else really, um, and just wanted to have her in my life. And that was pretty sad, because she'd taken everybody else away
Yeah.
to leave just herself for nobody else. That was so sad. But I mean, it's pathetic of me. But anyway, I did decide this was my last time that I was going to try with her, and it was. I screenshot what I saw from these conversations, and uh, saved them, and that was it. That was it for all of it. I I haven't spoken to her since. Actually, went a little over a year and a month or two, without talking to her before she tried to insert herself into my life again. Um, she called my husband. Well, she called the home, my house, my landline number, and I was at the park with my kids and my niece. I call her my niece, but it's my best friend of 27 years that lives with me. His cousin that introduced us. So I call her a sister. She might as well be. And her daughter, I call her my niece. So I was over at the park with my sister and my niece and my kids, and he was at home cooking, and he gets this phone call, answers it, and it's my mother saying, she needed to talk to me, and he hung up the first time.
She was, Joey, let me speak to Nikki. Like demanding. I said, I told her not to call back, you fucking and hung up on her. She called back. I picked up the phone and hung up again. I was so mad because I didn't know why she was calling. So I walked to the park to tell her. And
He tried to call me on my cell phone because we have a cell phone. He tried to call me on the cell phone, but I didn't answer it because my dad was on the phone. My dad had just called me, and he was on the phone telling me that he had just got off the phone with my mom, and that she had told him that he needed to drive straight down to where I was at and go and have me put in like a mental ward.
yeah,
That I had been trying to kill myself, and that I needed to I actually literally said that I had tried to hang myself twice.
yeah,
And I was like, wow, like twice, and I didn't succeed either time. I'm just not very good at it, I guess. Yeah, that was news to me. That was pretty colorful way of putting it.
yeah. Trying to get back into your life by
I don't know. I don't know, but I don't see how that would be an attempt to get back into my life, because how would that do anything but make me mad? Calling my dad and telling him to come and lock me up in a mental institution. But I wouldn't talk to her. That's the thing. I blocked her on Facebook. She got another Facebook page. I've got her blocked on my Facebook page, like three different pages that she's
yeah,
made. And I block them every time. Every once in a while I do a search and I see and I block a new page. And I'm sure she still looks at my page. I actually know she does, because I'll put something up that's public and then I'll get a call from my dad about it.
yeah,
So I know that she stalks my page from somebody else's page or something, fake page or something. But I won't have her in my life, and it drives her nuts that I finally just went no contact. I've been in a support group for a couple of years, but I've done a lot of just research on my own and a lot of things. I'm a spiritual person. I'm not religious. There's like over 4,200 different kinds of beliefs in this world, and like all these different religions believe different things. I'm spiritual. I'm just a spiritual person. I'm not knocking religion in this video. Anyway, but I have my own personal relationship with God, and I forgot where I was leading with that.
yeah.
But yeah, so where did I leave off?
Your dad would call you after she would see something that you posted public. He would call and
Yeah,
talk to you about it.
yeah. He would call me immediately, so I know that she stalks my page. But yeah, I did a lot of research on narcissism, narcissistic mothers, a lot of videos, a lot of articles that I read, and being in a support group and for this type of thing, literally daughters of narcissistic mothers. So um, get a lot of support there. But come to find out, we're all telling the same stories. Narcissists don't work very differently. That's the thing. They are 10 to 20 steps ahead of you, but they pretty much do the same things. They all do. And I've come to a point now in my life where I feel like, I don't hate my mom. I love my mom. I do. But she's too toxic to have in my life. It's actually dangerous to have her in my life because, well, she thought my son was a sociopath at 6. And my son, actually, he's in 4th grade now, and it's literally, he's gotten terrific kid twice. And he's been described by his teachers, 2 different teachers that he's had, as being such an empathetic little boy, to care like about like this little boy got hurt in his class one day, and they weren't even really like friends that hung out, but he was so sweet and so caring. And they talk about how sweet he is, and he's really sensitive. He's like me. I've always been a sensitive person, and he's really a sensitive person, kind of, um, just gets he can get some anxiety and stuff. And so it's good that I have experience with that for myself and be able to talk to him about it. But yeah, so I don't hate my mother. I don't hate her. I don't hate anybody. And I do love her. I love everybody. But, we're all doing the best we can at the level of consciousness that we're at. And her level is just there. That's where she's at. And it's actually a really sad thing because narcissistic people, when you actually, at first, when all these things happen to you, losing family members and these crazy arguments over crazy things, and all this happens, you're so angry and you have outbursts at times. You're just so angry. But, give it time, whenever you're away. It took me over, well, yeah, it took me over a year to get to the point where I'm at now to feel like I don't hate her. I do love her. But it's so sad because of all the research that I've done. A narcissist is a pretty sad person. They're not their authentic self. They can't trust to allow themselves to be their authentic self. They have this fake persona up so much that it's a constant battle. They have to keep it up. They need constant validation that people like them or love them, or like that makes a lot of sense as far as her feeling they need to be everybody's favorite and things like that. And um, it's just really sad because if you can't be your authentic true self and just speak as soon as words come to you because you have nothing to hide. If you can't do that, you can't just be yourself, then it's really sad, to go around with a fake persona all the time. I can imagine, I guess it would be like being an actor in a movie, but the movie just goes on your entire life or something. um, and then you only get these little small increments of actually feeling good about yourself that come from getting outside validation. But even the outside validation that you're getting is coming from people who don't know the real you. They only know the painting. And so how long could that even feel good? Just kind of, think about that. Like, how long could a person feel good getting validation for the fake person they put themselves out to be? And nobody really, likes or loves you for who you really are. And the truth be told, though, I'm probably the only one that does because I know who she really is, and I still love her because it's I feel really sorry for her that things are like that. I don't know how she became that way. I don't know if it's something she was born with or just something that happened along the way. I don't know how it happened, but it's more sad to me than anything else. But I have lost my family, and I like one thing for an example. I tried to get to become friends with one of my cousins who is probably like 10 years older than me, and she's got some kids that are you know like like 5 years younger than me, and then anyway. I became friends with her on Facebook, and I became friends with her oldest child, her son. And then one day I saw on her profile that she was like, I had a really wonderful day. I went for a walk with my mom and my uncle Ronnie. And see, my uncle Ronnie thinks horrible things of me now, just like my uncle Johnny thinks horrible things of me now. None of this actually, they could never say came from anything that I ever said to them or anything that they ever saw for themselves. Save for maybe the time that I was walking through the house at my grandmother's, arguing my side of what my mom was, what my mom had said to me. Other than that, so all these judgments are based on what they've been told about me, and so they don't really hurt like they used to because, well, if it's not me, if I didn't do or say anything that made that happen, then they just don't know me. They know what they hear about me, and their judgments based on what they've heard, I'm sure makes plenty of sense. But at the same time, it's like a really good reason not to judge anything or anyone until you've actually, not to judge a situation unless you were there, not to judge a person unless you know them personally. Go straight to the source because whenever you're hearing a one-sided story, you never know. You never know. I mean, a one-sided story is you know lot not very likely to be, well, I did this to this person and I did that to this person and this and that. Get the other side of the story, or whatever. I don't know. I typically just take everything with a grain of salt, but I judge people based on what I see with my own two eyes or my own two ears, things that they say and do and stuff like that. And that my mother taught me that very well. That's a lesson I learned very, very well. Um, so now I've got my father in my life. Um, my half sister Tina, my mom's oldest, has pretty much followed in my mother's footsteps, and that's a sad thing too. I love her too, but she can't really stay in one place for too long. I don't. This didn't want to make this all about her or anything like that. It's just um, it's difficult, but it's a thing that these people have, and it's actually really sad because I can't imagine wanting to be that way, and it's really sad. And I do love my mother. I do love my half sister, but they're too toxic to be around because they, in 30 years that I gave them, they never changed. And that sometimes they'd be great, the most wonderful person in your life, and then other times it would be like, what is happening? Everything is falling down around me. And it was just, I couldn't do that because I've got kids. I couldn't let them be exposed to that, and I couldn't expose myself to that anymore. And since letting go, I have become a lot happier of a person in regards to that. But I'm still sad because I've missed so much of my family and they've missed me. But they don't know what they're missing, so I guess I don't miss too much. But and I had a cousin that recently died that um, I think I I don't know what the situation is like there. I don't know what anybody that lives down there thinks of me, or I don't know. I just don't know. I know that I love them, but I don't know what they've ever been told or what they've heard or what they believe or anything. And I'm still planning on going sometime to see at least my cousin's fiance, but yeah, and his kids, and my family. But she's not going to know when I'm going, and um, yeah. So, but it feels a lot better to let go and to just to realize that this is a sad thing. This is a sad condition. People, narcissism is sad. It's for someone to live their life that way. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And so I kind of say, like, my father has told me that my mother had, like, was told she had like 2 years left to live or something, and nobody knows, like, whether that was just a ploy to try to get me to talk to her or if that's actually true. It probably is true because she's got COPD and other health problems. But and as odd as this might sound, there are times when because I'm really spiritual. I'm very spiritual. Neil Donald Walsh, Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer, all of that. That's where I'm at with my beliefs. And I think a lot of times, like, when she does pass and she's free from ego, then I'll be able to talk to her. And that's sad, but that's the state of affairs. Anyway, so I'm out of time, and glad I got to tell some of my story. I plan on making future videos. I'm gonna make a lot of public videos. So, and not just talking about narcissism, but I will. And any questions or anything like that, just leave it in the comment section, and I'll be happy to answer them. And you know, um, namaste.